Welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at two TaylorMade irons, the P790 brand new version and the QI. This is something that you guys probably experience when you go into a store, you look at these two clubs, you don't know which one you want to buy. What's your first impressions?
Well, I mean, to begin with, I would think, the QI is really designed for the higher handicap. It's a little bigger, it's more offset, and it's a little less expensive.
Yep.
So it's more of a price point club. I mean, if you can call it that, right? Anything's these days going up and up. But, and it's P790, we think that's a better players club. And, that's one of our top sellers and it has been for years, right?
Yep.
Each generation has been better and better. So, and the most recent one's really good. We've tested that. So, I don't know. We'll have to find out, won't we?
That's it. Well, this is what this channel's about. It's about the data. It's about letting you decide, finding out the numbers that are right for you. So we think QI, bigger body, more forgiving, 790, maybe the better player, but let's let the data decide. We're going to do two tests. First test, the live test, we're going to hit them at 90 miles an hour just from the center. And we know with hollow body clubs that this doesn't always lean to the player that should use them at that speed.
Right.
But we want to show you what the data does. The launch, the spin, how far they go.
Yep.
And then we've got then we've got the 80 mile an hour data that we captured. Dr. Tom Mace has verified, graphed it all for us. And that's some really interesting information at the 80 mile an hour speed.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I mean, I swing like 80 miles an hour and, I would definitely think either one of these would actually work for me.
Yep.
Much less speed than that, you're really looking for distance. So, you go in this different things. And at 90 miles an hour, you wouldn't think the QI would make a lot of sense because you did it too far. But, let's find out.
All right, let's do it. We have a new robot engineer superstar, Chris Herod in the background here. He's going to run the robot for us today. Chris, let's start off and hit the let's hit the P790 at 90 mile an hour out of the center.
Gotcha.
Let's just go to the range view, Chris, on there. Okay, good club speed. It's 127 ball speed. Interesting. 5,100 RPMs. Carried it 191 yards. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a long way for a 7-iron.
7-iron, 191. But there are players out there, especially nowadays. I feel like people are getting more speed regardless of their ability. Right. I feel like speed and ability used to kind of come together. As you improve your skills, you swing faster. But guys are just like strong out there now and just rip anything.
Yeah, you're getting some higher handicap swinging 90 miles an hour. Not that uncommon.
Not
you see
uncommon.
quite a bit, especially athletes and stuff that taking up golf.
Yeah.
They have some good eye-hand coordination and pitchers and hockey players for sure are swinging really fast. So
baseball
there's
guys.
kind of all different speeds.
Yeah. So this thing here, okay, it spins reasonable, 5,100 RPM, so it might have a chance. We'll have a look at the stopping power when we flip over to the QI in terms of the land angle.
Right.
But let's snap the QI in, and let's take a look at this while we're going. It's definitely a wider sole.
Yeah, definitely wider sole, relatively flat sole, so it's got some bounce to it. It's kind of just traditional looking bottom.
Yep. And then you touched on it, the offset. That's
it's got a little offset. It's not a huge amount though. No. It's relatively progressive in the set. It's not like a ton all the way through.
Yep.
It's not really designed for a super high handicap player. I could play that club.
Right.
It's not bad looking at all.
And then there's the one big change is the cast body versus the forge. The ability to adjust this hosel is not going to be as easy in the 7.
No, and they fluted here too. They cut some weight out of the hosel to make it lighter, which makes sense, right? More weight behind the ball. Yeah. It's a relatively thin hosel too, so it's hard to bend it a lot. You can probably get a couple degrees out of it, but you can't do a ton.
Yeah.
But it's a good all-around club.
All right, Chris, let's snap in the QI and give this a go.
Gotcha.
So the expectations for the QI, we think, would be, lower launch, lower spin, much longer distance.
Right.
But we don't know. So let's hit the 90 mile an hour test and see what we get. Okay, same ball speed. RPMs considerably lower, 600, 650 lower, nearly
a little more
700.
draw, which you kind of expect.
Right, well
and that's what they actually say it does.
Offset, right?
Yep.
We're making exactly the same swing here, so the club face is in there just a hair.
Yeah, it's actually not just the offset, because we actually zero up the face, right? So that kind of negates the offset. So it's really how much draw bias is in the face itself.
Built in there.
So it's actually built into the club.
Land angle 44. So I know this is a 90 mile an hour, so speed enhances everything. It gives you more stopping power, but only 2 degrees difference isn't that bad.
No, it really isn't. And, it's not that much longer either.
No. Well, let's go to the range view here, Chris. Let's go flight and have a look at the split flights. So taking a look at the flight and the view, you can see there that the QI flight is a little lower. Obviously, that peak height's down a little bit. and we picked up about 5.5 yards, which it kind of is right for the 2-degree loft change that we
Yeah,
see.
I actually thought it'd be more than that.
Right, me
But
too.
they've done a lot, actually, obviously, in the QI to keep the center of gravity really low.
Yep.
Because it launched about the same, even though it's 2 degrees,
Yep.
lower
Yep.
in loft. So, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And you can definitely see there's the big difference here is obviously one is really designed for the higher handicap to draw more. And it's not just the offset, 'cause we kind of negated that because we had the face square on both of them.
Right.
So it's just the internals of the golf club that make them do that.
Yeah.
So, it's certainly for the higher handicap that struggle with long irons especially. Having more draw bias certainly helps a lot. But it's not a huge difference, right?
No. Well, I think let's jump into the 80 mile an hour nowadays. So there's more golfers are in this category. And like I really thought we were going to see much bigger of a change. But I'll run some numbers and then we'll give you the other graphs to look at.
Right.
2 degrees stronger in the QI.
Right.
Lie angle was the same. Ball speed was basically exactly the same.
Right.
At 100 limit. So that means that they've managed to control the ball speed in the QI to not just jump off, right? That's your CG comment, I guess.
Yeah, it's got to have a lower CG because they're getting quite a bit of the same launch out of it. So, yeah.
Launch 0.5 degree different. Spin 400 RPMs more in the 790. So we saw that accentuated in a 90 mile an hour. So you are getting a little more, control with that 790 over the QI.
Yeah, and especially at lower club speeds, people that don't actually try to land it everywhere, it's going to go further because it's coming in a little hotter, right?
Yeah. But that 2 degrees to get the, get the ball speed the same, get the launch the same, and only have a couple of hundred RPMs, pretty good.
I'm really impressed by this club, to be honest.
Right.
I think it's going to fit a lot more players than I initially thought. I think, anybody, especially if you tend to fade the ball at all, it's definitely the option over the 790. And, it's a little more forgiving too. So, yeah.
Carry, identical.
Yep.
Basically within 1/2 yard of one another. And then I'll let you look at the graphing here.
Yeah, the graphing kind of shows what we would expect, right? So the QI is definitely a little more draw biased. The circles are, similar as far as the distance. The distance is almost the same.
Yeah.
Not a lot of difference. Just different golf clubs, certainly for different people, but not as different as I thought they would be.
No. Well, like hand on heart honesty,
there.
we've thought that there was a gap here for a long time. We thought, there actually needs to be a club between the two. Really, there might be another category outside of this, but there's no space between.
No, there really isn't. No, I mean you got the HL too, so in that model. So if you want more height and you do need more, if you really want stopping power, then you got that option as well.
Yeah.
So yeah. There definitely is. I don't think there is a gap.
So, I don't know if we've cleared this up for you enough.
Yeah,
really,
no, really not.
What we've done here is exposed a story where these two golf clubs are very close to one another, but you've got the body size of the QI in your favour.
Right.
You've got $60 a club less.
Which is quite a bit.
Right. That's a big motivator for a lot of people.
25% at least. Yeah, it's more than that.
But in favour of the 790, you've got the more premium material, you've got that more players look, and you've got the forged body.
For sure. Yep, and it feels a little different too, right? I mean, that's the one thing we're not measuring here at this point, anyway. They're definitely different.
Yeah. I think that motivates you to get to a cool clubs and get a proper fit in, or head into a worldwide golf retail location and try these for yourself. Like this is a real head-to-head comparison where you've got to get in the bay and find out what's right for you.
Yeah, and I definitely think, in our base, this at some extent, maybe the fitter should look at this. The QI fits a lot more people than I thought, and a lot more better players than I thought. So it's definitely in the mix.
Give it more swings at the plate.
Yep.
Hit the like and subscribe button. Tell us what you think in the comments. If you were tossed up between the QI and the 790, tell us which one you're going to go for. We love to hear from you. We'll see you next time.